So this is onto your nitrogen cycle and decomposition on the root hair cell. So for decomposition, the main thing you need to know about it is all to do with decomposers. If I say the word decompose, it means like to break down. The fancy word given to these is saprophytic bacteria and fungi, okay? So not just, like if you're asked what causes decomposition, don't just say bacteria and fungi, use that word saprophytic, okay? Because that's like the type of what they are. It's the same thing, like you've got different types of clothing, it's the same case here. So you've got saprophytic bacteria and fungi. They work in a particular way, and I've got it here in 3 stages. First of all, they release digestive enzymes, number 1 point. Then they carry out extracellular digestion. So basically it means it happens outside of the bacteria and fungi. And then what they do is they go along and absorb the soluble molecules that they found. Now, the stuff that gets left over is sometimes called humus, okay? So that's undecayed matter. But for this to happen, it needs 3 different conditions. First of all, it needs to be a warm environment, not too hot, not too cold. Reason being is because if it gets too warm, the enzymes will denature. And remember, if enzymes denature, no enzyme substrate complex is formed. There's rate of reaction as well. So therefore, if they can't react, then no decomposition will happen. So it just has to be nice and warm, but not too hot. Adequate moisture, again, just enough moisture there, not too much, not too little. And then the last thing that we need lots of is lots of oxygen, okay? So lots of oxygen so it can carry out aerobic respiration. That's the whole point of this. Now, again, I always think of Goldilocks and the 3 bears, not too hot, not too cold. Okay, so just warm environment, adequate moisture, but lots and lots of oxygen. As I said a minute ago, not all of the stuff that you decompose will be digested. So whenever they finish digestion, if there's any undecayed matter, it's just called humus, Humus. Now, on the nitrogen cycle is your next thing. So it sort of links into decomposition. I'm going to take it in each stages. So the first thing it is, you've got nitrogen in the air. Okay, so there's lots and lots of nitrogen in the air. It will then get converted into nitrates in the soil. And the reason it gets converted into nitrates in the soil is because, remember, nitrates are used to make amino acids. Amino acids come together for protein and proteins for growth and repair. That's the whole process of it, okay? So this is why the plants need them, because plants do not make amino acids themselves. They need the nitrates, first of all, to get absorbed by active transport to convert into amino acids, to make them into proteins, to allow for growth and repair. But this only happens in legumes, okay, such as peas, beans, plants and clover. So when nitrogen gets converted to nitrates in the soil, it's through a process called nitrogen fixation. So the nitrogen gets fixed, okay, into nitrates in the soil. So it's called nitrogen fixation. The bacteria, on the other hand, that's responsible for this is called nitrogen fixing bacteria, and they like aerobic respiration, aerobic conditions, so basically lots and lots of oxygen. Now, sometimes, obviously, whenever there's lots of rainfall, like we live in Northern Ireland, there's loads of rainfall, it becomes like a waterlogged soil. When this happens here, something else happens. The nitrates will get converted back to nitrogen in the air. The plants will stop growing, okay? That's what technically ends up happening. This is called denitrification. And it happens by denitrifying bacteria, who instead of liking aerobic conditions, they like anaerobic, okay? So there's little oxygen present. And they will convert the nitrates in the soil back into nitrogen in the air. Now, all going well, say you've got lots of nitrates in the soil, by active transport they'll be absorbed into the plant. The plant will be eaten by an animal, and then they will either have feces or they will pass away and die. Okay, and this will be the same as the tree or anything got there as well. They've got the decayed matter. What happens, the process now is called decomposition, and if you're asked about decomposition, what it is, it's these 3 things here. You release digestive enzymes, carry out digestion, and absorb soluble molecules. The bacteria responsible, again, are saprophytic bacteria and fungi, but instead, now there's a wee bit extra here, they convert the nitrates into ammonia. That ammonia, this remember is all still happening in the soil, that ammonia will be converted back into nitrates. And it happens by a bacteria known as nitrifying bacteria, and the process is called nitrification. Again, they like aerobic respiration, so lots of oxygen present, plus the type of conditions they need. And that's your nitrogen cycle. Now again, as I said to you, nitrates, if they ask you what they're for, they're the building blocks of amino acids that make up protein for growth and repair, so how things grow. How do these nitrates get into the plant on the other side of it? Okay, so you've got lots of nitrates in the plant already, and you've got very low nitrates in the soil because it's going to have a process called active transport happening. and it happens in the root hair cells. So if you're asked about root hair cells, remember they're found in the roots of the soil of the plant, the roots of the plant, which are found in the soil. They look a bit like this here. They've got a really, really large surface area. They've got a nucleus. The number one thing is they've got no chloroplast. Again, they're found in the ground, so in the soil. So there will be no photosynthesis because there's no sunlight. They have lots, and I said here, lots and lots of mitochondria. Remember, no chloroplast because there's no sunlight, but there's no photosynthesis. But they have lots of mitochondria, and the reason being is for this process called active uptake or active transport, where it's basically such as the nitrates, which requires energy. The big long structure, the big extended shape in this one here, is that it gives it a large surface area, so there's more active uptake of minerals, osmosis, that's water moving across, and diffusion as well.